Welcome to Celerity Technology. Today we're going to be doing an unboxing and an overview of Corsair's new product, which is HydroX. It's actually a series of custom water cooling products, and today we're actually looking at the GPU block, and this is specifically for the 2080 Ti. There are quite a few other brands that do make a custom water cooling block, and if you know anything about water cooling, you know that these blocks are specifically made for specific GPU blocks. And more into that, you have your standard reference style, which is or Founders Edition, which is a standard PCB that NVIDIA makes. And what companies like Gigabyte will do is they'll basically copy the schematics for the and the PCB layout and use the same layout, maybe make a couple tweaks here and there, but pretty much it's the same PCB with maybe a header that's used. Like, for example, this Gigabyte WindForce OC is a reference card, but they actually added two headers to slots that were empty on the original Founders Edition. So if you look at an empty Founders Edition, you see two headers that are not there. You just see the through-hole pads. But that is what a reference card is. So Founders Edition is what NVIDIA produces, and the reference card is what the AIBs like Gigabyte, MSI, if they use the exact same PCB, then that's called a reference card. There are some other cards that they'll make their own where they customize their own power delivery, and those are not referenced. And because of that and how the card's laid out, it's hard to make one block that fits everything. So this is Corsair's entry into the market, as I said, and I'll go ahead with the unboxing. So here's the box. It's nicely wrapped in cellophane. It's, some people like to see every detail inside of an unboxing. So let's continue with it. So this, it's, in my opinion, when it comes to GPU blocks, there's a few options out there, like XSPC, EK, AlphaCool, Heat Killer, Bits Power, I think has one, Barrow, and they all make the blocks, and the most common one is a reference style that can fit both a Founders Edition and a reference style graphics card. When you start looking at other blocks, you actually can run into issues with mounting them. Okay, there we go. That does look pretty. And this one is actually a bit different than some. Wow, this is actually heavier than I thought. So, auto focus, which I should disable. Here, focus. It's like this camera doesn't know how to focus. Come on, Logitech, you can do it. It's not that hard. Yeah, there we go. So that's why you're supposed to disable autofocus every time you launch OBS. So this is a block, and it has, it's a little bit different than most other ones. It looks like it has so looking at handling it, looks like the kind of, I guess, kind of the black part is aluminum, and it looks like it's been extruded out, which really reduces the cost. And aluminum is actually cheaper than your other products. And come on, Brio. It's like you have to snap your hands or something to get this thing working. Sorry, but so it looks like they uses extruded aluminum, which reduces the cost of production. Also, aluminum is cheaper than copper, and the block is made out of copper. It's nickel-plated copper, and you can see it has pre-applied paste right there. And I mean it is kind of fascinating. If you look at the back part right here, this is actually attached on with some screws, so it looks like it's one piece of extruded, and then they, I guess, just mill it out right here to put this block in. And I guess they can just I mean, in reality, I mean, it could really lower the cost of production, because you're extruding probably these giant pieces of aluminum that look like this, and they just mill out the portion that they need. And than just install this little block. So you see a little bit of it. You have this little kind of accent right here, which is nice. It kind of mimics the design of the other dominator RAM, so that's, you know, kind of ties in if you have dominator RAM. And I don't know if you can see right here. I won't even try it because the it will have issues probably focusing. But there's actual Corsair logos in each of these little screws that mount the top of the block. So it has four inlets, which is pretty much standard for, you know, most blocks. It has another Corsair logo right there. And so the block, it looks pretty good. You do have the two Molex SL connectors, and you do have the male and female, so you can daisy chain your Hydrorex products together. I mean, it's a pretty nice design. I mean, some of them rely a lot on just having, you know, a giant block, and then they put a like a plexiglass cover that extends, you know, over the whole block. I think this actually looks nicer. And, you know, when it comes in terms of like performance for these, I mean, in my opinion, I really don't think you know, you're going to see drastic in performance of one GPU block over another. I mean, so long as there's no you know, major faults in it. But I mean, you're really talking about you're going to run into like voltage limitations or power limitations of your graphics card before you ever run into heat problems. And the nice thing about a GPU block is it actually allows your GPU to stay cooler, and the GPU, to get some better performance, relies on boost, and it's very sensitive to temperature, much more so than the CPU. So if it will throttle itself and boost itself, and if you have a cooler like this, it's going to stay in the boost mode more often, and that's one neat thing about it. So that's that. Looks like there's some other things in the box as well. Just set this over here. So we have a bunch of mounting hardware, and these are plastic plugs. I'm not a huge fan of them. They do have rubber O-rings, so they are plugs compared to like most of your other plugs. But, you know, for $1 each, you can generally buy plugs if you want them. I mean, these should work perfectly fine. You're not moving. It's not like a normal rotary fitting. And, you know, I guess one advantage is these won't strip they won't strip the threads on this. So some people will really, you know, be worried about it and just crank hard on the plug, and then they can strip out the threads, which is not a great thing. So it comes with your little manual here, and it's always good to read the manual. I'll probably do a little video guide on how to install it, and it comes with a very kind of lightweight aluminum thin backplate, and a lot of them, and it's not like really, you know, out there. Like they do have the X, and that's, you know, kind of subtle, the subtle Corsair logo. So, some of the water blocks, like my old MSI Seahawk EKX, it's a bit gaudy. Like, actually, even though I can mount my my MSI card like vertically, I think they have this big ugly dragon. You know, it's again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I think it's butt ugly. So I had to mount mine, you know, just kind of the traditional way, because, you know, personally I didn't care for it. So it's nice that this is not like, you don't have this gigantic huge cell and like something kind of cheesy like a dragon. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, a little bit over the top. So that's kind of the unboxing of it. Oh, I forgot to mention, there is one other unique thing about this. Actually has a flow indicator right here, so you fill up the actually, let me show you right here. So you fill up the loop, and this spins, and this doesn't show you your RPM or anything. I mean, it'd be nice if this was an integrated tach so you could see your flow rate. I mean, that's one thing. But I do know that some of these will kind of gunk up or jam up in and like some of the standalone flow meters that people put into there, or flow indicator. So indicator just shows that your flow is moving, and makes it look cool. a flow meter will actually have a tach built into it. They can plug into your fan header to see your actual flow rate. But these are like these can sometimes gunk up, and I'm curious about long term how will it work. I mean, if you're using probably clear fluid, it probably is going to be fine. But if you're using like some pastel or style, like then it's going to be it could potentially, there it is, they could potentially lock up on you. There, I don't see in this I do not see a jet plate, so it looks like you can really float. I don't see an in or out port, so you can flow in or out because there's no jet plate, and that's unlike there's some companies that do have one way, like one in and one out for their GPU blocks, but I think that's heat killer. But a lot of them don't as well. And I mean, it's overall built well. I mean, it's, you know, it feels, you know, it's actually pretty hefty, and you know, I'm impressed with this. I mean, it looks fairly nice, and the thing with these blocks is, you know, they're all gonna, in my opinion, I think they're all gonna perform fairly similar, because again, your bottleneck is going to be power limitations of your graphics card, because especially because NVIDIA really restricts that. But you know, in terms of, you know, if you want something that looks nice, I think this really looks nice to me, and you know, the price, it seems like it's fairly reasonable. This one was about 150, and Corsair actually did provide me with this one. Looking at the prices, here they are, which is, you know, you can get some a little cheaper. Some will be more. It really depends. I haven't been in the market for a new block in a while, but it's not bad at all. And there are different models, so you can get the 2080 Founders Edition, 20 Ti Founder Edition style. Again, these each have different blocks, because there are different layouts as far as the VR, where the VR and the MOSFETs, you want to cool them, it actively cools the RAM, so that's why there's so many different types. And because you do have, do they have any other ones? So I see 2070, 2080 Ti, the Vega. I thought they had a Strix card, but I guess I'm wrong, or they might be out of stock. But I guess that's it for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and feel free to subscribe if you want to hear more content. I'm going to be covering more items. I did a video on the D5. I have I also have a review on the radiators I'm about to post up, and I'm going to I might even look at the fittings. But again, thank you for tuning in, and feel free to subscribe, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment. Thank you very much for your time.